Hmm. Yeah, I'm not gonna hum the intro. Anyway, here we have Downtown and Streets, the first episode of Hey Arnold. Now, I've seen bits of this show before, but never all the way through, and man, is it good to see it as an adult. It is just so many little things I appreciate, and I'm debating whether to wear these sunglasses or not. I'll wear them. Actually, not. It's a little harder to read my notes, and plus, I look kind of ridiculous with these. Anyway, in the first episode, Arnold and Eugene are in a school play about the food groups, which is a thing, and comes the big night, and they don't want to do it. It's a stupid play. Helga, who's the director, has been treating them terribly and insulting them and making them feel bad. So it's like, you know what? They take a bus to get to school, and they're like, you know what? Let's just not go to the play. Let's just ride this bus out, see where it goes, and they ride the bus and thinking, oh well, when the bus reaches the end of the stop, it'll just go back to its cycle, and we'll ride it back to the school. And say, oh, we just forgot, weren't paying attention, we forgot to pull the chain, and it turns out the bus actually doesn't go back around. It stops on the far end of the city, and then they're stuck there. And they're sitting there, stuck in the middle of, you know, the city, dressed as fruit. And it's actually okay because it turns out that conveniently near where the bus dropped them off, a handoff was supposed to take place where a bunch of guys were supposed to get money, and the guys who got the money were also conveniently dressed up as fruit. So they have fun spending the money, and eventually they feel bad for letting Helga down and all the people in the school, so they go back and do the play. And before I get into the episode, I want to talk a bit more about the show itself and the atmosphere that I got not just from the episode, but from the intro and the DVD, which is this seems like a very laid back show, where it's a lot more slow paced and character driven. Which, I mean, the last blind vlog series I'm the not the last, but the one I'm doing, but taking a hiatus from Powerpuff Girls. It was very fast, very energetic, and this is far more mellow. It's a lot more just about letting characters breathe, and I like that. And it also lets the character, the city, come through. And man, I mean, I don't know if this was planned as the first episode, but it does a good job of laying the groundwork. From the opening of the show, it's clear that this is going to be a show where the city is going to be a character. It's not just going to be a background, it's going to be part of the feel and DNA. You get that from the music that plays on the DVD menu that I have, and also in the intro. It's this jazz music, which, yeah, you do kind of associate the city of jazz, and it really adds a lot of atmosphere, not just in the intro, but also in the show when we're having scenes play out and you hear jazz. And again, I don't know the production of the show, but it sounds live. Like, it sounds like they actually got a real jazz band together to record music. And if they did, that's really cool. It reminds me of what they did with Batman the Animated Series, where they get live orchestras to record the score. And it would get this really rich sound. And not only that, but just throughout the episode, there's this constant atmosphere. From the jazz music, you hear cars honking their horns, police sirens. At one point, Arnold opens his house and these animals run out, and little things like that. Just there's constantly noise, and it just makes the city feel real and believable. And if you live in the city or work in the city, like I've been to the city a lot, so I can be like, yep, this kind of captures it. I mean, I don't live in the city, I live in a suburban area, but I've been to the city enough to know, yeah, this is pretty much how it is. And now this episode, it introduced us to the main characters. There are a bunch of characters in the show that we saw in the intro, like the grandpa, I mean, I don't know the names of everyone, but I know them from the bits and pieces I've seen, but I mean, this episode just mainly focused on Arnold, Eugene, and Helga, and I assume that in the later episodes we're going to get more insight into the other characters. But for now, I mean, for the first episode, it was a good idea to just spotlight the lead ones that we're going to be spending the most time with. As opposed to this one time where my dad showed me Seinfeld and he picked the one episode that didn't have Kramer and George. And I'm like, those are two of the best characters. I digress. And as far as Arnold, Eugene, and Helga go, they're really good characters. One thing that really helps bring me into the world and believe these characters is the voice acting now. I don't know I didn't check to see who voices the characters, but it sounds like they actually got child actors to voice them, or if they didn't, they got people who do a very good job mimicking it. And it's always good when you have child actors because there's a certain way that children deliver lines that's very specific to them, and it results in this rich, authentic sound that you just can't get with an older actor. And I mean, and it's just distracting if you don't have something resembling a child's voice coming out. Like that Captain Underpants movie that's coming out or will have come out by the time I upload this, where they got like Kevin Hart and all these big celebrities to voice children, and it's the most distracting thing ever. So kudos to you, show. You actually got child actors. It does beg the question, because this show ran for 5 seasons, and unlike Avatar or Steven Universe or other shows they've used child actors, it seems like the characters aren't going to age that much during the show. They're going to stay about the same age, so it's kind of interesting given, like, are they okay with the fact that the voices are going to change? Like, I'm sure by the end of the series, like, a lot of these voices are going to sound, like, drastically different. And even with the Jungle movie, I heard they had to, like, recast some of the characters because the actors had aged out of the roles and they sounded absolutely nothing like the characters. And considering that the Jungle movie, from what I hear, is going to pick up right after where the show ended, like, you probably want actors you want voices that resemble what we're familiar with, but that's neither here nor now. And as far as these characters go, they're very likable. I like how, it sort of follows the screenwriting rule of how you want two characters that are very much opposites. So Arnold's the very mellow, laid-back one, who's always doing the right thing, and Eugene's the more edgy one. And is it just me, or there are a lot of shows in the 90s where there was a character who had an African-American friend? You had Recess, you had... Actually, only Recess can come to my mind right now. And they work well off each other. Like, we buy that they're friends. I mean, Eugene's a character that he could have easily come across as just annoying or bad influence, but you understand where he's coming from, and they write both of these characters that they're likable enough. I mean, I can relate to not wanting to do school performances. I mean, I never hated school plays, but when I was in middle school, I did choir, and I don't know, for some reason, when I performed in the spring concert, I don't know, I felt like I was going to faint. I don't know, just something about standing there still on those risers for 20 minutes while these lights are beaming down on you. It just doesn't do it. So I was really nervous to go out on stage the next day, so for the winter concert, so it was bugging me, like, in the months leading up to it, so I decided to bail and just chill in the hallway backstage. I regretted it, and from then on I did it, but the point is I can relate to wanting to bail on something. And Helga, I like how she's very relatable. Like, I mean, she could just easily be the one-dimensional jerk character, but they do show a softer side. Like, yeah, she's she's rude to Arnold, but she also has these feelings for him, and And I like how they show this early on. Again, I like how she's a human character, feels like a real person early on. Like it, given that the show is trying to be somewhat realistic, it makes sense that you want all the characters to feel like real people, and that means like, people aren't bullies just for the sake of being bullies. Sometimes they do it because they're insecure and they want to feel better about themselves. Sometimes it's Helga's case where, she has a feeling for him, but she doesn't want to admit it, so she represses it by all this hate. And I feel like the show could get a lot of mileage out of that. I mean, Selspec goes on and on about how much he loves the show and how much he loves Helga, and I'm starting to see why. I'm curious if Helga's, because I mean, this is back in the days where shows were very serialized. It was sort of like, nothing really changed. The order was interchangeable. So is Helga gonna grow and soften up, and are she and Arnold gonna develop a relationship as the show progresses, kind of similar to what happened with Jimmy and Sydney in Jimmy Neutron, or is this more or less gonna stay the same and only culminate in like the Jungle movie? I'll be interested to find out. So I really don't have that much to say about the episode. It's pretty straightforward. They go out, then they come back. Except, there was just this wonderful atmosphere in the city. I love the designs of the characters. I don't know. For one, it just invokes nostalgia from those days when Nickelodeon had an amazing lineup of shows, and now they have our SpongeBob reruns and the Loud House, which I need to see the Loud House. I keep hearing really good things about it. Yeah, I love how the city feels alive, vast buildings, a lot of sounds. I love how funky the shops are. You have like that really tricked out costume shop, the fortune teller, the fact that the odds of the handoff just happening to involve guys with fruit costumes, which I love how when Arnold and Eugene are going back to the school, we see the fruit guys get arrested. It's like, don't worry, kids, the criminals got their due. So yeah, I mean, I'm guessing this show's going to be an alternation between fun, quiet adventures in the city and just quiet, character-driven stuff in general. And again, I'm one of those people where I don't need everything to be fast-paced. I'm always just as eager to see something more slow-paced, something where it's more about the characters and developing them. And again, if they're real, well-realized, likable, relatable characters and atmosphere, I'm okay with just spending time with them and without a ton of action. And yeah, I can't wait to watch more episodes. I'm sorry that I'm not going to be able to break down everyone individually like this one. But, if I want to get through all of it by season 5, I'm just going to have to pick and choose which ones I cover. Again, I have a busy schedule, time is limited. It would just take a lot out of me if I did these, like, all 99 episodes. So yeah, again, just in case you missed it, I'm not going to do every episode. I'm just going to go through the season. If there's like a 2-part episode, like I see there's a Christmas and Valentine's Day one, which I'm guessing those are biggies, which I'm going to cover. Those ones I'll definitely do vlogs about because they're big, important episodes. And when I'm done with each season, I'll go through and say what I feel overall, which episodes I really loved, which ones I really hated, talk a bit about some of the episodes in depth, and I apologize, again, I would love to just go for the show and show my gradual evolution, but again, with my current schedule, I just can't do that. So I hope that, that these vlogs that me this way is a bit more convenient. And that you enjoy watching me experience Hey Arnold, and that, you enjoyed watching me watch my first Hey Arnold episode with adult eyes, and I'm looking forward to watching more. I'm looking forward to spending more time with these characters. I'm looking forward to end of the season when I can know all their names and love each one of them, and yeah, so this is it, the road to the Jungle movie. Yeah, so if you have thoughts on this, leave them below, and this is JStar260, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.